I heard a great story from my wife this week about a young man who was studying in yeshiva, studying in a Jewish school, and he was struggling. And as you can imagine, yeshiva has high expectations, high standards, both in the classroom and outside the classroom. And he was having trouble maintaining those standards. And it got to a point where reluctantly they had to ask him to leave. And, when someone is asked to leave, the protective confines of a spiritual environment, sometimes it's dangerous. And sometimes, unfortunately, they head in a negative direction. And a few years later, the Rosh Yeshiva, the head of the school, bumped into this young man, and he saw him and he said, "How are you? How's everything going?" And he said, "Well, when I first had to leave the school, I was very tempted to go in a bad direction, to move towards some negative influences, to a bad crowd, to perhaps experiment with some substances. But as you can see me now, I was able to turn my life around, and now I am thriving, I am striving, I am steiging, and it's all thanks to my rabbi from the yeshiva, my teacher." And the Rosh Yeshiva said, wow, I didn't know, wow, amazing, what happened? What did he do? And the boy said, every Friday for the past few years, every single Friday without fail, he called me to wish me a good Shabbos. And the Rosh Yeshiva was amazed. And he went back to speak to the rabbi, to his Rebbe, to his teacher, and said, "You never told me you've been doing this. Do you realize what you did? Because of you, now this young man is on a good path, and in a good place, in a healthy place." And the rabbi said, "You know what? I may have called him every Friday, but he never answered the phone." And I thought, wow, there's so many lessons to this story. First, think of the teacher, think of this rabbi who didn't give up. And even though the boy never picked up the phone, there was no positive feedback, he still kept reaching out, kept being there for him. And then think of the boy who was getting these messages, who was getting these calls, and he could have easily ignored them. He could have easily chosen the easy way out, path of negativity, the path of apathy. But instead, he chose to internalize those messages, to heed those phone calls, and to make a better life for himself. We've been discussing, we've been asking, how can we take the light of Chanukah, to take it with us as we move forward to the dark winter months? Perhaps this story has the answer for us. That number one, that we should be there for other people. And even if they don't appreciate it, even if they're not responsive, even if we don't get recognized for helping, but let's continue to provide that helping hand to our loved ones, to our friends, to our family, even to those that we're not so close with, perhaps especially those people, to reach out when we know that we can help and we can make a difference. And number two, we're also receiving phone calls, not just weekly, not just daily, but all the time. Our Father in heaven is calling us. He's reaching out to us. He's sending us subtle messages, and he's looking for us to pick up that phone. And even if we're not ready to pick up the phone or to have that heart-to-heart with our Creator, but let's at least try to internalize some of those messages, to take advantage of the wisdom of the Torah, the wisdom of Judaism, wisdom of our parents, our friends, and our loved ones, and to take it with us throughout our day. And if we're able to add light to our own lives, to build our spiritual selves, then we will also be able to impact and affect the world around us and truly enable all of us to become a light unto the nations as we light up the world.